All right, so just to review. So we got a network, 10, 15, 96. And we're trying to find some address that we can match against to catch everything that's between the range 96 to 111. So if you guys have practiced your subnetting, what this tells you is that I've got a 96 network that encompasses 96 all the way to 111. So how many addresses are we going up by here from 96 to 111? How many numbers is that? I know that the 10 and the 15 have to be exact, so those are real easy to do. So we take in, I want this to be 10. And so to write that 10 in binary, we do no 128, no 64, no 32, no 16. We want 8 on. I don't want 4 because that would make it 12 and too many. And I want 2 because 8 plus 2 equals 10. This next one, we want it to be 15. So I know that it's 1 less than 16. So if you got 128, 64, 32, 16, I know if I take and turn all ones on behind it, that's going to make it 15. If I want to check these and make sure they're identical, that means every bit needs to be a 0 in the wildcard mask, because 0 says check the corresponding bit. So it says check the 128 bit to see if it's off, because that's what you have it set in the address. So let's check the 64 bit to make sure it's off. Check the 32 bit, make sure it's off. Check the 16 bit, make sure it's off. Check the 8 bit, make sure it's on. You guys follow me? So the first part of the wildcard mask is 0. The next part's the same. I want it to be 15, so I'm checking to make sure that those numbers match up. So that's also going to be a 0. Now this is different. So this part, you see we have a range, 96 to 111. So what I would do is I'd start writing down those numbers. So how would I do 96? No 128, 64, 32, that makes 96, right? So I'd want all this off. All right. What about, let's go up a little bit higher. Let's go to 99. So what would I add to 96 to make it 99? We know this is 96. How much? 3. So I can write 3 like this. Try that? All right. Let's do like 105. So I got 96. How much do I need to add to 96 to make it 105?
You said 26?
90, I've got 96 and I want to make it 105.
29. I think I did my math. Hold on. I just came back. Hold on.
So you said 9? All right.
Oh,
so there's no 16, there's an 8, and there's a 1. That makes 9. And 9 plus 96 makes 105. I'll buy that. All right. What about 111? So 96 and 4 gives me 100. Well, let's do it this way. 96 plus 16. It's too much, right? It's 112. So I know that that can't be on. If I add the 8 to 96, we know that gives me 105. So that can be on, right? It's 104 actually. What number are we trying to get to again? 111? Okay. So right now we got 96 and 8, which is 104. This one's reverse 4. That makes it 108. That 2 makes it 110. That makes it 111. Alright, so I think we have enough that we can see a pattern. So you can see all these things kind of change around. They're different. They're bouncing around. This is constant. Alright, so those numbers are going to drop down in your address. So 0, 1, 1, 0. Those are the ones you're checking against. So your pattern right here, we're checking that. So you have to use zeros to check to make sure that this is a match. So we want these to be zeros. Everything else I want to ignore because it's constantly changing. So you put 1s in your wildcard mask part. So if we add this up, we got 1, 3, 7, and 8's 15. And we know that was 96, right? And then this part down here, I don't care. So we know we got 0, and then I can do 255 as ignore. Right? You want to make sure that you got all 1s there and 255 in your mask, because if you don't, it would be checking to see that this was a 0. So you'd have a 96, a 97, a 98, a 99, a 100, all with .0, and anything else would not match if I didn't change these to 1s. Does that make sense? Because if these were all zeros, and these were all zeros, then the only thing that would be a match would be 96, 0, 97, 0, 98, 0. I want this to be any number, so you have to ignore it, which is all 1s. So your address is going to be 10.15.96.0, and your mask is going to be 0.0.15.255. And that checks for anything that comes in on the 96 through 111 range, which is part of this 10.15.96 network. And given this, we should be able to figure out what the subnet mask is for this network. What do y'all think the subnet mask is? I know it's 255, 255 dot, and then it's something that lets me go up by 16s. So typically what you do is you say, okay, well, that means I've got to have the 128, the 64, the 32, and the 16-bit, which makes sense because that's where we stopped right here, isn't it? So if we add those 4 up, I believe it gives you 240. So by looking this, you can actually figure out what the network is, which is this right here given, and I can figure out what the mask is that they're using based on the range that they gave me. So the secret is make sure you write down and find a pattern in the area that you're focused on, which is this 96 to 111. And then the pattern will give you your address and show you what bits you need to flip to 0 in the wildcard mask for checking. Because you're checking the pattern.